I'd like to talk about the nature of personal reality, if I may now, and that has to do with a conversation about schemas and conceptualizations. Right now you are looking at a video, and you are probably in a room, like you've just for a moment to look around the room and notice where you are and how you're feeling. And you're going to sense that, there's nothing all that new occurring. And the familiar floor, the familiar computer, the familiar you, the familiar hand. Yet we've never been here before. This is a first-timer. In other words, your experience right now is unprecedented, yet it feels very familiar. The reason it feels familiar is because we are working with familiar mental patterns. We are projecting them. These are the schema constructs that we utilize to navigate our lives through this experience of life. So, schemas are mental impressions. They are our symbol system, and they are always utilitarian. In other words, you are observing this video and seeking to have some type of benefit from it. That is what we do. And once we lose that sense of something not being a benefit to us, we tend to not even perceive it. What we actually don't do is conceive it. We do not use it as a conception. Point being is that we are in a conceptual universe. You might say that we're in the Star Trek holodeck as far as what we are seeing. When you look at your hand, for example, you are not actually seeing the hand. Hard to believe, huh? Looks like your hand. However, what is occurring is that the perception is immediately being conceptualized. And this is our circumstance. We are conceptualizing everything. You look at a chair, there's no need to analyze its function. We already have chair conception in our mind. As far as the hand goes, we have hand conception. And it gets very connected to the schemas, and it also gets very connected to our, if you will, survival modality. We are in a utilitarian modality, and much of what we see and do is in terms of that. And mindfulness meditation changes that, folks. It undermines this conceptual world where we're no longer necessarily caught totally in a conceptualized universe. We have the opportunity to actually see our hand. Hard to believe that you don't see it, but indeed, when the projection stops, when the projector turns off, you and I will get an eyeful of our existential circumstances. So I hope you're enjoying this conversation, and I hope you're connecting some of the dots. I'm going to just review a little bit. We are talking about emotional wounds interrupting spiritual progress. We're talking about the nature of what gets us stuck, and we suggested that they were emotional wounds and maladjusted coping modes. In other words, the memory of an emotional wound, an impression, triggering into the current moment and us responding to it as if it were not a memory, as if it's a reality, and it begins to organize our current affairs. This is an activity of schemas. Schemas are conceptualizations that assist us in navigating our lives through this experience. So we also discussed a possibility I may have inferred it at this point, that we can actually see outside our schemas. We can actually see our hand, for example, and not only the projection. Very importantly, when we think about ourselves, it is a schema construct. We are failing to see ourselves, folks. And that is a very critically important revelation. We are a supercomputer. We do not understand ourselves. We actually do not understand time and space either. We know how to operate this thing, but we do not know what it is. We are exploring it, beginning to explore it, but unfortunately we never fully, well, we do fully sometimes apprehend what it is in Revelation. However, we are conceptualizing a lot about our bodies, learning through medicine, for example, and physics, what it is and how it functions, and we're using conceptions to do that. If indeed you were able to see your hand, or you were able to see yourself, you would indeed see our existential circumstance, which is currently veiled, you might say, through the schemas, through functioning, the need to be functional, to have a sense of separation between ourselves and our environment. It helps us to function. And the communion experience is associated with Revelation, and it indeed is associated with the Enlightenment experience. We'll talk a little further about that because there are subtle differences in that. So getting unstuck. Let's shift to that conversation, and I would like to begin talking about meditation and self-monitoring at this level. There is a distinction between a reality and a mental event, and getting to the point where you can see something going across your mind, or actually a triggered schema. Say, for example, you have a deprivation schema. Suddenly you have a sense that your needs will not be met. You can respond to that in more than one way. The second way that's possible is to recognize it not as a reality, but as a mental event. To have that psychological distance on your mental event that allows it to go off, and yet you do not respond to it, validating it and allowing it to organize your experience. This is the liberation that we're talking about and that I'm encouraging you to recognize is possible.